I hear dead people. My experience when I was 9 years old was the start of my fear of going to funerals. Whenever my last speech project in Toastmasters International was about the use of effective body language. It is said that when presenting a speech, a vast amount of information is visually conveyed by our appearance, manner, and physical behavior. In public speaking, our body can be an effective tool for adding emphasis and clarity to our words. It is also our most powerful instrument for convincing an audience of our sincerity, credibility, and enthusiasm. It was my sixth speech that I delivered in a joint club meeting. In my previous projects, I wrote and delivered light, entertaining speeches filled with funny narratives that made the audience smile or laugh. This time, I wanted to evoke a different response from the audience. I wanted to make a sad, dramatic, yet inspiring speech. So, I thought, what would be more depressing than the death of a loved one? Incidentally, one of the club's members also recently died. He was only 30 years old. I guess the topic was timely and relevant. My mother and father died in 2020 and 2021 respectively. I wasn't able to go in our province to say my last goodbye. I only saw them during their wake online. I was depressed, yet I never cried. Perhaps because of my training up north that men don't cry. That real men are not supposed to cry no matter what the circumstance is. Or perhaps I was still in denial. I didn't see them in the flesh. Maybe I was hoping I would be able to visit and see them again after the pandemic in our province. Somehow, I sometimes forget that they're already gone. I was so inspired. I was able to finish the initial draft of the speech in only 1 hour. After a couple of revisions, I recorded my voice while reading it. In the climax of the speech, I cried. I had to continue while crying since I had to time it, and it must not exceed 7 minutes. This speech should only last from 5 to 7 minutes. It was on time, but what was remarkable was I cried. I was carried away by my emotion while reading the speech, and it was good. Aside from being authentic and sincere, I thought that that was the start of my grieving process. However, in the succeeding practice sessions, when I started memorizing the speech, I did not cry anymore. No matter what I did to internalize the lines, no tears came out of my eyes. My wife made the bet that if I would cry when I delivered the speech without breaking down and finish it on time, she will give me a prize. That she will give me a brand new iPad 5. I always welcome any challenge, so I said, bring it on. So, what do you think? Did I win the wager? Let's see. Here's a recording of my speech which I delivered online last May 21, 2022.
Now let's move on to our third speaker who will be delivering a speech for level 2 of presentation mastery. The purpose of the speech is for the member to deliver a speech with awareness of intentional and unintentional body language, as well as to learn, practice, and refine how he or she uses nonverbal communication when delivering a speech. Our speaker will be evaluated by Toastmaster Bees Amorio, and he is given 5 to 7 minutes to deliver the speech. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Leonard Mann. I hear dead people. I hear dead people. Leonard Mann.
I was in grade 3 when I was 9 years old. One morning, a woman wearing a black shirt came at our school and talked with our teacher outside our classroom. We couldn't hear their voices, but I noticed the woman crying. Then, our teacher also started to cry. After the woman left, our teacher, with tears in her eyes, informed us that our classmate, my seatmate and good friend, Sonny, had died. He drowned in the river 2 days before. We were all shocked. Sonny was the silent type. He had no enemies and he was nice to all of us. The following day, the class went at Sonny's wake in their house. While walking towards his white coffin, I saw his sweet, gentle face. While staring at him, I heard his voice. Frightened, I closed my eyes, but I kept hearing his voice. When it finally stopped, I slowly opened my eyes and saw his calm face, his eyes still closed, as if he was only sleeping. I told our teacher I heard Sunny's voice, that he was telling me something, but he didn't believe me. Fellow Toastmasters, friends, good evening. Yes, I hear dead people. My experience when I was 9 years old was the start of my fear of going to funerals. Whenever I look at a cadaver inside the coffin, I would hear the same words. 2 years ago, just when the lockdown started, my mother died in our province, in Abra. I wasn't able to go there because there were no flights. I just saw her during her wake online. Online lamay, that's what we call it nowadays. I told my sister to move her cell phone's camera nearer to my mother's face so that I could clearly see her. Her face looked peaceful, as if she was only sleeping. For the first time, I didn't hear any voice. I didn't hear her voice. After a year, my father also died. I wasn't able to go in our province because there were still no flights. Again, I told my sister to move her cell phone's camera nearer to my father's face so that I could clearly see him. His face looked peaceful, as if he was only sleeping. For the second time, I didn't hear any voice. I didn't hear his voice. It's like deja vu. It's not fair. I wanted to hear their voices. I want to hear my parents' voices, even for the last time. I miss them so much. Last month, the father of one of my students, Stephanie, died. I went to the wake to personally express my sympathy. When I looked at the man inside the coffin, his face looked peaceful. And just when I was about to leave the coffin, I heard a male voice. It happened again. I heard the same message which all the dead people had been telling me in their wake. That night, I realized perhaps the reason why I didn't hear my parents' voices was because of the distance. Because I wasn't there, beside them, physically, in person. From my grade 3 classmate Sunny to Stephanie's father, I heard the same message. They said, ako ngayon, ikaw bukas. They were reminding me of the certainty of death. Sunny lived for only 9 years. I am lucky I reached this age. And I want more years. My children are still young. I want to see them grow and graduate. I want to attend to their weddings and see their own kids, my grandchildren. Friends, we should always tell our loved ones how much we love them. We should always hug them while there's still time. I last saw my parents in 2016 and I seldom call them. I should have called them more often because now I can no longer call and tell them I love you or I miss you even if I want to. Last week, I went to the wake of Toastmaster Randy's store together with some of you. And yes, I heard him say, ako ngayon, ikaw bukas. Again, I was reminded of the certainty of death. My dear friends, we should be more kind, compassionate, and loving as if there is no tomorrow. For one day there will be no tomorrow. Let us live every day of our lives as if it is our last. For one day it will be our last. May we live our lives well. May we spend our precious times well. And when the time comes, may we leave this world peacefully and confidently say, all is well. Back to you, Toastmaster of the evening. I wonder when will my wife give me my prize. Anyway, after the speech was delivered, two evaluators gave their feedbacks. You see, in Toastmasters, evaluations are important because the speaker's strengths are highlighted and areas of improvements are pointed out. This is the only way to improve, through feedbacks. According to my evaluators, I delivered a moving, poignant, and powerful speech. My intentional body movements match with the lines of the speech. I showed proper transitions. My hand gesture showed confidence. I was able to show vocal variety and demonstrated the use of effective, dramatic pauses. On the other hand, I was told that my nervous habit was in looking down at times, as if I was recalling the lines. The recommendation was to instead move 2 to 3 steps from where I stand as if transitioning to another point. The evaluator also commented that I should use fewer literal hand gestures and instead use more symbolic ones since they are more powerful. I was reminded to tilt props or photos to avoid glare and so that it will be clearer and visible in the camera. Or consider not showing any props at all if they do not add value to the speech. The greeting in the middle of the speech should have been deleted as it made the evaluator detach from the already emotional speech. Lastly, it was opined that the disappearing act after the delivery of the speech had no relevance. I am just new in Toastmasters International and I know I still have a lot to learn. And I am not afraid to experiment, to take risks, and be creative. I am a work in progress and learning never stops. But remember, stage presence is not pure talent. It is a learned skill. Therefore, as with any other skill, public speaking can be learned and mastered through constant practice. Let us keep learning, practicing, and improving one day at a time. Always bear in mind that there are no boring speeches, only boring speakers. And there you have them, friends. If you enjoyed watching this video, kindly click like and subscribe to my channel. You may want to click the bell icon too so that you will be notified whenever I upload new videos. Please feel free to share this to your friends. This is your Monday Habit, the Mann's World. Thank you. Always enjoy life and Godspeed, everyone. One day, a woman wearing a white